Hey, Rossly. Did a little trim on the hair. Had to go see a butcher of dentistry. Excuse me. Had to get some dental work done, so I had to figure I'd shave the beard off. Of racial discrimination, what I go through every day from hierarchies in civilization, what we call, that abide the law, that like to talk down to those who are less fortunate, racial discrimination in our society, which our laws dictate on equality and equal rights, meaning that discrimination is a wage in our country, according to the BC Supreme Court. In 1989, Andrew S. versus the BC Supreme Court won a ruling that a wage is considered discrimination between $1 and $100. And life, depending on if you wear tattoos or piercing, color your hair, look like a punk rocker, a hippie, a rocker, a biker, or whatnot, we have this problem that everyone thinks everybody else is better than someone else. Those who drive a Porsche or Lamborghini to those who drive a Chevette. Society has always been that way, no difference in the color of skin. We call it slavery, just like I've said in the past blogs before. We make a wage of $9 an hour. And if that we make $9 an hour, work 40 hours a week, we're going to make approximately $1,700 in a year. If we have to pay $900 a month for rent for a one-bedroom place, that only leaves us $300 for food. Basically, we have no money to pay for our car payment, pay for gas, pay for our clothes, pay to go out and have a beer or a glass of whiskey with our friends, or even have any entertainment in our life, meaning we are slaves because we're not paying into a house that we own. We're only paying into somebody else's house and paying off their houses and being caretakers for their properties. And we have to buy possessions to clean their house and look after their house and obtain it so we can move into another house when they evict us or it's time to leave. Meaning we are just slaves to pay off somebody else's bills because we're not paying into a society that we pay for our own equipment, such as our housing and our living. We only pay off their bills. Social services? Well, social services needs to upgrade and change the services so we can be better trained. It's not a lifetime achievement award to be on social services. Who would want to be stuck in a fake jail system as we do today by discrimination of how much money you make? And that's what it comes down to. Each tier is just like the Titanic story, between $20,000 a year, $40,000 a year, or 70 or 120. Each one's a different tier, and it goes lower and lower and lower. Period. It's sad too that we can't join the military, just like the United States at a certain age, and enter it in Canada due to the fact of, hey, they want us to volunteer when a war breaks out so they don't have to pay us anything and not train us, so they just run us into a field. And it's sad that we all work, and most of us are impoverished. And even if we work 2 or 3 jobs, we're still going to be impoverished or barely scrape by. We can take whatever education in life we want. But if no one wants to hire after we spend $100,000 on an education in a university, then we just wasted $100,000 a year and now we're stuck at a minimum wage job till we pay that off. And is that fair? No difference in a deficit created by the last generation of people to pay off? No, it's not. It's a cruel act of punishment for any elder to expect us to pay off their bills because they were ignorant not to pay it off themselves or willing to work to pay it off. And that's what it comes down to. Cruel acts of punishment for being impoverished and a rich person bossing us around and treating us like, what is it, a dog they say? Because we have less than them. The fake alpha who drives a fancy car and has a big fat wad of money in their pocket and thinks wealth makes them an alpha. We all know in the animal world it's about physical strength. But we don't live in that world anymore because we got laws and regulations for the last 10,000 years that have been bred into us. We all have to be law-abiding citizens in this world and live by the codes that our country gives to us. Culture never overrules anything anymore, only the law. Because when we get to court, the judge dictates on who broke the law and who didn't. It's interesting. We live the lives we have to live and forced to live, and we never choose a life, because if we chose the life we did, well, we'd all be billionaires, I think. So next time somebody tells you you chose to do something in life, tell them, no, I didn't. I had no choice because it's the only thing I could afford to do, because there's no such thing as luxury. By the definition of an alimony, it's everything and more what you had before. And our necessities of lives are what our parents showed us as children. And every time we went into a new person's house to see what they have and we don't have. Because when we see somebody has more than us, now we want to be more like them and have more like them. And live in the nicer house, drive the nicer car, and live in a nicer home. Because that's how it works. Period. Is it an American dream? No. It's called equality. Everybody lives in the same tier. Is it communism? No, it's not. We live in a tier communism called socialism, geared by your education, and each person gets paid by a different tier by your education. Plain and simple. Canada and North America and the United States lives by communism, but we call it socialism. Plain and simple. Well, for now, I'm out of here. Hope you enjoy my new look. Hasta vista. Sayonara. Take her easy.